Support for today's episode comes from Amazon. Amazon is working toward a carbon-free energy future, doing more with less, investing where it matters most, and supporting communities where we operate. Visit the link in our show notes to learn more about Amazon's Spotlight on Energy. Georgia load growth drives new 230 kV grid project. Georgia Transmission's latest project is one more sign that the state's rapid electricity demand growth is moving beyond forecasts and planning proceedings into physical transmission construction. United Utility Power Services has been selected to build a new 3-element, 230 kilovolt ring bus switching station in southwest Georgia for Georgia Transmission, with construction scheduled to begin in the fourth quarter of 2026 and completion expected in the first quarter of 2027. The companies did not disclose the contract value, exact location, or specific load or generation resource associated with the project. The voltage level, configuration, and location, however, put the award within a much larger transmission investment cycle already underway across the state. Georgia Transmission reported approximately $428 million in capital improvements in 2025, completing 108 capital construction projects that included 5 new substations, roughly 19 miles of new transmission lines, 24 transmission line modifications, and 57 substation modifications. The cooperative attributes rising capital requirements to statewide load growth, new generation, heavier utilization of Georgia's integrated transmission system, and projects needed to increase capacity and reliability. 230 kV infrastructure signals a larger grid need. A ring bus switching station gives transmission operators greater flexibility in moving power and isolating equipment. With multiple connections arranged around a series of breakers, individual elements can generally be removed for maintenance or after a fault, without taking the entire station out of service. At 230 kilovolts, the project also sits within Georgia's high-voltage transmission network rather than the local distribution system. Georgia Transmission already owns substantial infrastructure at that voltage. At the end of 2025, its system included about 5,383 miles of total transmission lines and 780 substations. The cooperative continues to use high-voltage projects to support economic development, investing $428 million to complete 108 capital projects in 2025 alone to support expanding commercial and industrial loads across Georgia. The latest project has not been tied publicly to a specific customer. Large load growth is reshaping transmission planning. Georgia's integrated transmission system project's electric load will increase 15% over the next 9 years, according to Georgia Transmission. The cooperative is responding through Gridovation, a decade-long investment program covering new transmission lines and substations, upgrades to existing infrastructure, and technology intended to increase grid flexibility and resilience. Large customers are part of that equation. Georgia Transmission's 2024 annual report described unprecedented growth from large load integration, naming data centers and EV manufacturers alongside broader economic development. And by 2025, the cooperative had established a formal large load interconnection process with technical and data requirements. That pattern echoes how at least 23 states have already built dedicated rate structures around large load customers, and it lines up with the roughly $100 billion in transmission investment grid operators are planning nationally, in part around data center growth. The station's location adds another variable. Capital planning is also being shaped by where electricity is generated, as new solar facilities connecting in South Georgia alter power flows while other generating resources elsewhere in the state retire, the cooperative said. Transmission investment increasingly has to solve several problems at once: moving power from new generation, accommodating growing loads, maintaining reliability, and building enough flexibility to take equipment offline when needed. The dynamic is already visible next door in Georgia Power's territory, where regulators are investigating whether data center rate structures are shifting costs onto other ratepayers. For companies evaluating facilities in Georgia, the build-out is a reminder that generation capacity is only part of the equation. The transmission system still has to deliver that power to where it will actually be used. Sustainability Soundbites energy coverage is sponsored by Amazon. For sponsorship opportunities with Environment and Energy Leader, please reach out to a member of our team.